All right, let's welcome back to Straight Fire, everybody's March Madness favorite, pretty much the GOAT college basketball announcer currently, Fran Fraschilla. He does ESPN games, and he's going to be doing a lot of NIT action this month. Fran Fraschilla, one of the great voices in this generation of college basketball, knows the sport as well as anybody. Fran, how are you, man?
Jason, you're very kind. Thank you very much. I do have my voice. I did 10 Big 12 tournament games last week of the 13 and two studio appearances. And I was busy and I was drinking a lot of tea. Trust me. And I got to leave tomorrow for your coast and do an NIT game on Wednesday night at San Jose State.
Yeah, I
So
love the Big 12 tournament. First of all, I got to ask, what was up with that court? It was a little messing with my eyes and my head.
yes,
Unscoring it kind of popped for sure. It was interesting.
it was Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton was
Oh,
no, actually, it was X11, Roman numeral 12. It was actually better in person,
mm.
the arena, than what you saw on TV. It wasn't quite as bad as Oregon and all
Oh,
the
yeah.
trees, right? But it was a little jarring when I watched the women's tournament the week before. But Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, he thinks of everything. He's a mover and shaker. He's a New Yorker, Rock Nation. He's just
Yep.
a type guy. And it was his initiative, and actually, I think it caught on at the tournament. So it
Yeah.
was,
No, it's all about buzz, and he created it for sure.
yeah, that,
Let's jump right into the tournament. And you called a lot of Big 12 games. Houston was a machine. I
yeah,
love how into Milos Uzan. I hope I said his name
Uzan,
correctly.
Uzan.
Uzan. Okay.
I did
And
it too.
you
Uzan,
love this guy. And he was at Oklahoma. Then he goes to Houston. He was, I mean, I just think his game is phenomenal. They look good. But, Fran, every year it's the same thing with Houston. Do they have enough offense? And now they kind of sort of got screwed by the committee having to face
yeah,
Gonzaga possibly in the second round. Gonzaga, an 8 seed, is a top 10 team in Ken Palm, which is
yeah,
absurd.
yeah. It's going to be a tough second round game, but I got to tell you, like Houston's gotten to a Final Four the COVID year, right? They got beat by Baylor in the semifinals. Nobody was beating Baylor
No,
that year,
no,
21, right? I mean, they destroyed a Gonzaga team that was undefeated. How
that's,
crazy
yeah.
is that? And but this Houston team, the last what was it? The one year they lost Sasser. Last year they were devastated early, and then they lost Shed in the Sweet 16 to Duke.
Oh,
I think they would have. I think we all know they would have beaten Duke. No,
oh,
no
heck
offense,
yeah.
but this is an amazing operation. Kelvin Sampson, he comes back from the NBA. I asked him about 5 years ago. You'll love this because we both remember the nonsense at Indiana with the texting and the show cause. He goes to the NBA, and I asked him because we've been friends for 30 years. This is the 30th anniversary of Manhattan College upsetting Oklahoma 13-4 game and the
Oh,
coach. And I was a young coach then. It's my greatest moment in coaching. And we actually became great friends because of that game, because he's a coach's coach. That night we were better. He shook my hand and said, "Hey, you got a great team." And we've been friends ever since. But I asked him 5 years ago, I said, "You could have been an NBA head coach, you know? You were with the Rockets, they loved you." And I said, "Why did you come back?" And he said, "Well, first of all, my dad, who passed away soon after he said this to Kelvin, he said, 'You're a college coach.' He used to call him fella. He said, 'Fella, you're a college coach.'" When I asked Kelvin, I said, "Why'd you go Houston?" He goes, "I needed something to fix." And
mm.
Jason, what he was saying, it was a double meaning, okay? It wasn't just fixing Houston, it was fixing Kelvin Sampson. And now there's no question in my mind
Mm.
that after Billy Donovan and Mark Few and maybe Rick Barnes, his good buddy, who he's known 50 years, um, Kelvin Sampson's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
And so I hope they win it because I love him and I love the Big 12. And they got it, man. They got a lot of pieces. You got to be a little lucky to go all the way, but they're as good as anybody right now. We love Auburn. We love Florida. We love Duke. I almost said we love North Carolina. We don't love North
We
Carolina.
don't. We don't love
We'll get to that
him.
later.
So,
But so he's great, and this kid Uzan is like a. I saw him at Oklahoma. Great kid, coached by Porter Moser. Kelvin hand selected him to be the guy to replace Shed. The kid took less money from Houston than he could have gotten.
mm.
He knew he was going to get yelled at every day of the season. Kelvin drove him, drove him, drove him. And I have to tell you, we'll talk NBA draft in a couple months. And
Ooh.
ESPN, if you're listening, man, come on. I need to be back on the draft, but that's another story. Hey, by the way, Shams and Robbie Hummel and I last year we had at Stadium, which we're not going to do it anymore, 10 million views of our draft coverage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. But Uzan has become an NBA prospect because Kelvin and the staff gave him the confidence. The teammates believe in him. And he's like Andrew Nemhart. He is
Hmm.
Andrew Nemhart reincarnated. And my NBA friends, and I saw a bunch of them in Kansas City, they said, "Oh yeah, he's at least a second rounder, and he might come back next year, but his stock is really high right now."
Interesting. So Houston's prospects, I like them to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, I do
The
too.
offensive rebounding, it's a lot about the numbers now, Fran, when you're picking these teams. Houston, 15th in offensive rebounding, fourth in 3-point shooting, second in defense. The one Achilles heel is 2-point shooting. Explain to me how they're so good from three, fourth in the country, but they're 268th on 2-pointers. What is that about?
This is why you have me on. Okay, this is why you have me on now, and I'm going to tell you. Okay, it's the best 3-point shooting team they've ever had at Houston. So we're always used to Houston winning ugly. They're going to get more. They're going to get more field goal attempts because they're going to turn you over more and get more offensive rebounds. Well, what they do this year when they crash the offensive glass. Now, I'm going to repeat back to you what you said: 16th in the country in offensive rebounding, right?
15th, yeah. Same.
15th. Okay. How about when you get an offensive rebound and you don't have a dunk and you kick it out to Sharp and he hits a three? You know what I
That's
mean?
good. That's good.
Or prior. We call it the dagger three. Bob McKillop, the great coach at Davidson, came up with this. Offensive rebound out to a 3-point shot is called a dagger three
Mm,
because you think you stopped them on the first shot and they put a knife in your heart by kicking it out to Crier or Sharp or Arsenault or now Uzan, and they're hitting threes at 40%. So the reason they don't throw it inside that much except to Roberts, who's become a threat.
mm,
Usually Joe Tugler or Roberts or Francis grabbing a rebound. And if it's not a putback dunk, it's a kick out three. And the percentages speak for themselves.
yeah.
See, a 40% three means you're getting 1.2 points per possession, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
So,
He's crunching the numbers. I love it.
no, so that's why I think don't worry about the 2-point percentage because they don't have a go-to guy like that. They don't have like an aircraft carrier, Zach Edey,
Yeah.
but those offensive rebounders kick it out and those guys hit threes.
So this Gonzaga matchup, assuming Gonzaga gets by Georgia, SEC gets 14 teams, and
Right.
Georgia's pretty damn good. But I don't, I got to be honest. I've seen Gonzaga a bunch this year. I've never been overly impressed. What am
Right.
I missing?
No, you're not. I saw them early in the year, and listen, give them credit. They win the WCC tournament. They look great beating St. Mary's, who I think is also a team that's going to be dangerous. And you know what? You just put in the old days, not the last year or two, but Kansas. Oh crap, we're playing Kansas.
Mhm.
Oh crap, we're playing Houston. Oh crap, we're playing Auburn. Gonzaga still has that. They might not have Kelly Olynyk or Karnowski or Nemhard or Morrison or guys I'm leaving out. That's Drew Timmy, but they're Gonzaga. Graham Ike is a threat inside. They've got some athletic guys. They got Ryan Nemhard. So that's a dangerous game for Houston, assuming they win. But I'm not sure they're going to get by Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia's been battle tested all year. They're playing obviously the best league in the country. They got Asa Newell. They got some guys that the upper mid-major guys have transferred up, and Michael White's done a good job. That'll be a street fight. Not going to surprise me either way. And then Houston just can't have that one bad game and have a game where they go 5 for 23 from three, which they haven't had many of those this year.
So I've given you one of my final four. I don't love Tennessee as much coming out of the Midwest. I'm a Houston guy here. What
Yep.
do you make of the whole SEC 14 teams? Everybody loves Auburn, Tennessee. Everybody. I don't know. They did beat each other up, so all those guys are battle tested. But I don't know. This Tennessee team scares me. Just that the way they play their brand. I don't know if they're going to get the whistle in March. If they get overly tenacious, they're going to have guys foul out, and they don't have any depth.
Well, let's go about the SEC first.
Okay.
Historic. Okay. Most teams ever, some of it at the end was hype train. Some of it,
Yeah.
most of it was real. Most of it was real. They dominated the non-conference. Very interesting about the SEC. I did this research with our ESPN people, and it could change and fluctuate a little, but 75% of the starters in the SEC have started 10 games plus, and they're seniors, and they're fourth and fifth year seniors. When you think of the great players in the league this year, you start with Janai Broom, Mark Sears, Walter Clayton,
Mhm.
Chaz Lanier at Tennessee. Zakai Sigler is a homegrown 4 year Rick Barnes guy. If you look at the top 7 teams in that league, man, it's now or never because it's just a historically crazy confluence of events, transfers, COVID year guys, that there's a lot of upperclassmen in the league, and good for them. When we talk about the NBA draft, you and I in a couple months, there aren't that many SEC players in the first round, and they happen to
Interesting.
be young players on teams that didn't do great. Trey Johnson on a Texas team that barely got in. Colin Broyles Murray at South Carolina, first round pick. Those guys don't win in the SEC this year because those upperclassmen are so good. So they got that. I saw Tennessee in person 2 weeks ago beat A&M at A&M. I worked for Rick Barnes for 3 years at Providence. I get that people don't believe in him this year. The defense is still great,
Oh yeah.
okay? But I tell you what they got. Chaz Lanier, Zakai Ziegler, and Gainey, Justin Gainey's kid. I think it's
Uh,
Jordan.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Gainey kid. Those three kids are legit, and they can put points up. Chaz Lanier can go get 30. Zakai Ziegler is a killer. You know,
So is this
I,
team better than the Dalton Connect team last year that I think went
I
down to
think
Purdue in the Elite
I
Eight?
wouldn't have said yes, but I think so because they
Interesting.
relied so heavily on Dalton Connect.
Yeah.
I think this year that Zakai and they got three guys that can go get 20 in a game, and I got them losing. I got them losing. It's really funny. Tennessee Houston is a great matchup because Rick Barnes, I mentioned it earlier. Rick Barnes and Kelvin Sampson are small town North Carolina kids. One guy played at Pembroke State, the other guy played at Lenore Ryan. They've known each other for 50 years. They competed against each other. They're best of friends. That's going to be a hell of a game to get to the
Mm,
Final Four because both of those guys deserve to win a championship. And this year with this bracket,
interesting.
everyone can do it.
Do you if I said sleeper in the Midwest and I tossed out Xavier. I mean, I don't even know if they're going to get by Texas, which is a problem. But
Yeah.
some of the profile of Xavier, some positives jump out that I kind of sort of like. I don't know. Again, I tend to fall in love with Sean Miller 3-point shooting teams. Instantly. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we
Yeah.
got great free throw shooting team. I know the Big East wasn't phenomenal this
Yeah.
year. But I kind of liked Xavier here to win a game or two. Your
Well,
thoughts?
the thing that scares me about Illinois is they've been such a roller coaster, like they've got a young team, and some nights I watch them. They got a couple of NBA prospects. Um, the point guard from Lithuania is terrific, but I'm worried about Illinois. So if you told me a week from now Xavier beats Illinois to go, to move on, I wouldn't be shocked because
Hmm.
I don't know what to make of Illinois. They've been so hot and cold.
Yeah. So,
They get destroyed by Duke, which is understandable, but they've lost some games that are kind of head scratchers, and yet they got enough talent to go far. But I think where Xavier could get them is very upperclassmen oriented.
yes.
They've got toughness. Sean Miller's teams always have toughness. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky game. I think you picked a good one there.
So if you on the Ken Palm site, D1 experience, okay, and that matters because if you listen to what Fran said about the SEC, they've got a
Yeah.
lot of old dudes.
Yes,
D1 experience, Xavier's second in the country. Then you look
behind
at
Kansas.
Illinois, and
Behind
Fran
Kansas.
knows his stuff.
Yeah,
Illinois is 301st out of, I believe it's like 364. So
something
they're,
like
like you said, a young team. You can't
yeah,
rely on freshmen now when you're playing 23, 24-year-olds. So it's
yeah.
good. You're kind of in agreement with me. Okay, so we both
I
like
see that.
Houston.
I'll tell
Um,
you another team. Do not sleep on McNeese State.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
No,
not
first of
familiar
all,
with their work.
well, I'll tell you what they are. They're junkyard dogs. Will Wade, who's probably not going to be there next year. He served his time. He was in a
Wait, is he
minimum.
the one from LSU?
Yeah, he was the one that got fired for the tape recordings, and
That's
I
right.
like Will. He's a hell of a coach. He was a Let's put it this way. McNeese was a minimum security prison, okay? Okay. Um, and he's paid his dues. He's
Yeah.
paid his dues. He's a heck of a coach. He did an amazing job at McNeese. They dominated a low major league. He's got athletic guys. They got toughness. They play great man-to-man defense. They switch everything. They could give Clemson trouble. Now, keep in mind now, as much as Brad Brownell has done a great job, and he possibly could be the next coach in Indiana. Okay, he could.
Ooh.
That's real because he's an Indiana guy. But we still have to wonder whether 17-3 or whatever it was in the ACC means the same as being 17-3 in the Big Ten or
Yeah.
SEC. And it doesn't. It doesn't. 17-3 to me or whatever it was translates to 13-7 in the SEC. Okay.
Hmm.
So I think McNeese is a sneaky pick here. I really do. I think Will Wade is a gangster. Okay. I love saying that. He's a gangster,
So
and
he must be a pretty damn good coach to turn,
he's a
like you
really
said.
good coach.
Huh.
It's not just he's a great recruiter. And I want to give you a little tidbit here because Will's gotten in a little NCAA hot water, right?
Yeah.
You know that one of the places Will Wade coached was Harvard for Tommy Amaker?
I did not know that.
I
Wow.
know. My son's there, and he says I'm the spiritual successor to Will Wade. I don't know what I don't know what that means, but Will's a really good coach. Sneaky pick.
Wow. Okay, McNeese State. So everybody got that one. All right, let's quickly go to the East. I don't
Okay.
want to say it's the Duke Invitational, but Cooper
Yep.
Flag should be good for the second round. I don't know about the first. I don't think they're going to be pushed hard. I kind of like Oregon. I'm not as high on Arizona as others. Up in that quadrant, can Duke be pushed?
Yeah, I think they could be pushed. I want to tell you something now. It's so easy. You're a West Coast guy right now. It's so easy to discount Arizona, okay?
Okay, here we
And
go.
I like them. I've seen them a lot. Remember, they're in the Big 12 now. And I said on Saturday night, the only way out now, I want to put this in perspective. When I was the young coach at St. John's, I was only there 2 years, okay?
Oh, we're gonna get to St. John's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, this is what I was building
Of
St.
course.
John's. But when they fired me,
Of
that's fine.
course.
No regrets, no regrets. But when I was at St. John's, my first couple of years, I said, who's the bully on the block? Connecticut, Jim Calhoun. Okay, we're punching his ass in the nose. In other words, we're going after Connecticut. They could beat
Mhm.
us like a drum, but we're gonna get in a street fight with them. And we did. And we Jim and I had our differences, and then we later on when he's a great coach, he said, I like the way your team's played. Okay. Arizona Saturday night needed to make that a street fight. Now, Caleb Love, I'll get to him in a second. Um, Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis, they're all street fighters.
Mm.
Every one of them. And those guys went after Houston for 40 minutes. And except for a possession or two, they had that game and they could have won it. Came up a little short. Arizona's got Tobe Walker to transfer from Tennessee, is a wide body, and Henry Vasar is going to play in the NBA, 7-footer. He's a sophomore from Estonia,
Hmm.
redshirted last year. I like Arizona to do some damage.
Okay, let me back up though. Arizona Friday, Texas Tech. Did you call that game?
Yeah,
Okay, so Texas Tech was down, I think, two of their top three players, right?
yeah,
Right.
yep,
So did Arizona catch something of a breakdown? I'm, by the way, extremely
yeah.
bullish on Texas Tech. Cowherd, I don't know if you were watching the
Helmet.
herd or herd, but he loves Arizona. I like Texas Tech a lot as a Final Four team, but sell me a little more on why Arizona is getting by, let's just say, who would they? Oh, Oregon in the second round.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I love Caleb Love. It's so easy to hate the kid. He had so much bad stuff said about him because Caleb Love is Giancarlo Stanton. Okay. He's going to hit 40 homers. He's going to strike. He's going to hit 240 and he's going to strike out 200 times. But he's going to hit 40 homers
Yeah.
and he's fearless. And if he has a 3 for 15, I'm with you. They'll probably get bounced. Although they can withstand a 3 for 15 from him this year.
Last year they could not.
But not
Right.
because his other guys have gotten better. Vasar's gotten better. This Carter Bryant kid from Corona Centennial in the Inland Empire is going to be a pro someday. Caleb Love, man, he's fearless. If he's on, they can go far. They can get to the Sweet 16
So
easily.
last year in the NCAA tournament, Caleb Love, 3 for 12 from three, 3 for
Yep.
8, and then 0 for 9 in the loss to Clemson. Sometimes he falls in love with being a chucker. Like you said,
Now, here's
Stanton.
what I would tell you about that now. He beat single-handedly. He gave Coach K his final loss.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes, yes. Good call.
The sophomore, and then he went 5 for 20 against Kansas, and the rest is
That's right.
history.
He went postal. That cost me money. That Duke team in that was
Yes,
the Final Four, right?
yes, 20.
Yeah.
That was Jay Wright's swan song. Because you
Yeah,
remember,
28. Oh.
yeah, and Justin Moore got hurt against Houston in the final minute, and so Kansas got by them, and then they eventually won it. But
Mm.
I've seen a growth in Caleb Love where he'll still take the big shot, but I don't think he'll shoot them out of it this year.
It's funny, 2022, you're right. He blew up. Remember how he beat UCLA? I think that was Sweet 16. I had UCLA, and he was unstoppable. 30 points at 6 threes. Yeah, he can be volcanic. I don't know,
I'll call
man.
him mercurial, volcanic, mercurial. He's Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, that's a great
He,
comparison.
he
This is
could
why
go
this is why you're so good.
he could go 3 for 4 and have 8 RBIs.
Yeah.
And
Or the opposite.
well,
All right, bottom half of the
yeah, we
East.
know he knows it.
He
Tommy
does
Lloyd,
know it, yeah.
yeah. So that's
Uh,
where I like Arizona. Now, I was disappointed in BYU because they're kind of a catchy, they're kind of a hot team to like root for because they got a lot
yeah.
of weapons.
Yeah, they do.
2 times they played Houston, man. They just, I don't know, maybe it's because it's Houston, but I expected them to fight more. They didn't fight the way Texas Tech and Arizona fought Houston. So I'm a little scared of them. But man, they could be also a team that I got them losing to Duke, going far.
You have B. Wow. Okay, so
I
BYU, and
also,
that's the big thing. Pressure, like you said, they
yeah,
lost to Houston by 31 and then 20 in the tournament. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
yeah, that's a beatdown. And now
They
they
were
got to
down,
face the
they
VCU
were down
pressure.
15. They were down 15-0 to Houston over the weekend, and they knew it was going to be a street fight, and they got punched in the nose early. You
Yeah,
can't do that.
you don't want to come out and say they're soft or whatever, but they do
They're
have
not.
the freshman kid who's very very good coming off the bench. The
And
car
oh,
Igor.
Igor's a starter, but they got 8 or 9
Oh, is he
guys.
starting now? Okay.
Yeah, he's a starter, but and they're good. They're not soft. When I played against BYU in the old days at New Mexico, they're older. They've been on missions. They cheap shot you.
Oh.
They no, listen, you'll like this. They play a little physical and dirty, and then after the game, they're such good kids. They're like they make Mother Teresa look like a gangster. They come up on a handshake line. Coach Fran, we love playing the Lobos, man. You guys play so hard. We love competing against you. And I'm joking about the cheap shots, but
Yeah.
they play hard, and they just didn't bring it against Houston. So I worry about them a little, but they're not soft.
Any thoughts on where is it? Is it Wisconsin? We've seen some Big Ten tournament teams get hot in the tournament, 4 games in 4 days, and now Wisconsin's got to go to altitude on Thursday.
Yep.
Montana should be a win, but then they will have to probably face BYU or VCU. I don't know about Wisconsin getting out of opening weekend.
I'll tell you, you said it all.
No.
There's nothing worse. I talked to Mick Cronin in like February, and he goes, "Listen, I want to win the Big Ten tournament, but I will not be unhappy if I lose on Friday, because if we win on Sunday, they might ship us out to Providence, so we can't go home to LA and then go back across the country,
Oh.
and that wears on you." So Wisconsin plays until Sunday. They had some monster games with Michigan State and then Michigan. And I always worry about the teams that play on Sunday. I really
Yeah.
do, especially when they got to travel the way they do. So, yeah, I love what Greg Gard's doing. I like their team. I think the first round matchup the first round matchup to me is one of those, holy crap, turn on your TV at 63-61 with a minute to go, and it's Montana ball. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Okay.
One of those games.
Hmm.
And then Wisconsin wins 65-61. I worry about them because of the length of that Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. All right, let's shift to the South. That's Auburn's region. I, it's tough not to like Auburn, but Fran, I gotta say, we're talking about home field disadvantage. Louisville's getting to play in Lexington against Creighton. If they get by Creighton, not a lot. Creighton's kind of good. Then Auburn's basically got a road game, and I think Louisville's probably going to have 80% of the crowd in Lexington. It reminds me of when Duke had to face, and I think it was the Jason Tatum team. They had to go face South Carolina in Columbia.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, it was the Sunday game, and the place was juiced up, and South Carolina just mauled them. Did I get that right or no?
Yeah, I think you did, but I also remember Kansas playing in Kansas City a few years ago when Josh Jackson was there. and they were playing Oregon in Kansas City, 40 miles away from Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Oregon sent them packing. So I want to
Mm.
tell you, no, I don't worry about, first of all, how about this? Both teams have played in that venue this year,
Oh,
right? Also, I did an Auburn Houston game early in the year, which was a classic. This is before Uzan came on and Javier Francis didn't play that game. But having said that, Auburn had a lot of people. Auburn will travel well to Lexington. I don't think the crowd will be any factor. I think it'll be a great atmosphere
mm.
when they play that second round game.
So you've got Auburn kind of cruising. Can anyone give them a problem? I don't even know if Texas A&M gets by Yale. There's some crazy 3-point shooting
Yeah.
numbers. Yale's like top 10, and Texas A&M is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country.
I think I saw Texas A&M a couple weeks ago against Tennessee, as I said, and I think they're going to maul Yale. I think,
Oh,
and I say that, and I love James Jones. He should be in line for a major job like a Villanova, a place like that. James Jones is a great coach at Yale. One of the things that everybody's doing this week is everybody in America is saying Yale's the upset special, and they just upset Auburn last year. You think Texas
they
A&M?
did. Yeah, yeah.
Like, you don't think Buzz Williams, those guys eat nails for breakfast? Seriously. And I just think they're going to come out and, like, maybe it's an ugly game, but they're going to come out. They're ferocious. I think A&M will get by this. Now, they don't have a lot of offensive firepower. I'm looking at my bracket here, and I do have Auburn going far. I got Michigan State and Auburn. It's
Yeah.
not unusual. Iowa State's wounded. I'd be careful about it. If you want a sleeper Sweet 16 team, I'm still bullish on New Mexico.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have not even looked at that game. New Mexico. Oh, Marquette.
I'm
Interesting.
bullish.
Why I don't know anything about New Mexico.
Well, they got a great guard, maybe an NBA type guard in Donovan Dent. They got a terrific big guy. Marquette has Cam Jones. Give him credit. He's terrific.
I like
Uh,
him.
but Marquette's leaked oil here, the last month of the season. They
Yeah,
really
they
have.
lost 3 of 4. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so there's going to be crazy upsets, and we're going to. I don't, Marquette could win by 20, and then someone will say, "My stupid ass Fran Fraschilla." I mean, like, I'm just throwing some stuff against the wall,
yeah.
not to be an expert, but just to say this could happen because you and I both know the more you know, the less likely your bracket's
A
going to
hundred
stay.
percent. And listen, Shaka's smart. I think he's lost in the first round like 6 times. He has known to lay an egg. I know back with VCU, he was awesome, but he's had
Yeah,
some letdowns with Marquette. Oh, one last one. I've got to drill down on this. It's
yeah,
the UC San Diego Tritons
yes,
against Michigan. Now, I have been on the Tritons a little bit. I read an awesome article. I employed some of their defensive no middle tactics, which I guess they stole from Texas Tech.
yeah,
I've employed some of that at the youth level for my kids. I'm just
yeah.
telling you, I love what they do defensively. This team's scrappy. I have already bet them, Fran,
Yeah.
against you against Michigan. Sorry,
What's the number? What's the number?
it was 3.5. Now it's 2.5.
Ooh, really? It's that
Yeah,
low?
yeah.
I got to take Michigan on this. Now, I got to tell you,
Uh-oh.
I watched 3 UC San Diego games at the end of the season because I wanted to see what they were about. Love them. Love them. They're like the West Coast Drake, okay, with Ben McCall.
Okay.
Very similar, very similar. Kind of a Northern Iowa with Darren DeVries. And I love watching them play. They play great. They play the right way. They shoot the ball. That kid Gray is leading the country in steals per game.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, terrific team, terrific player. That's not enough. That's not enough. I would need like more points to take
Mm.
UC San Diego. I just think, in Michigan, you got great size with Wolf. He's a playmaking big. Golden. This Trey Donaldson kid was really good last year at Auburn off the bench. He's gotten a bigger role this year. Kind of, they brought in Aiden Holloway from Alabama. Trey Donaldson, by the way, little trivia question. His high school coach was a Heisman Trophy winner, Charlie
Charlie
Ward.
Ward? No way. All right. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I
high
didn't even
school
know he was
coach
coaching high
Charlie
school.
Ward. So anyway, hey, listen, that's another one of those games. It's going to be like 63-61, 2 minutes to go. The crowd's going to be going crazy.
Yeah.
Cinderella. But I'm going to go with Michigan on that one.
So Michigan lost 3 in a row. They lost 4 of 6 heading into the Big Ten tournament. A lot of people starting to write them off. Oh, they're not that great. And then they get hot. It felt
Yeah.
like they put Dusty May, really good coach. They put everything into the Big
Yep.
Ten tournament. And I just wonder that late comeback against Wisconsin, holding off Maryland, the
Yep.
letdown. I just wonder, like, Are they gonna? And the 2 7-footers is kind of plotting now. Like people don't really play that way.
No,
Um,
I know.
I,
No,
I, I
I will tell you the Sunday thing is real. The whatever it was, the Sunday games are real. Playing on Sunday and then shipping yourself out somewhere.
yeah.
I'm looking at who they lost to. Illinois at home. Okay, they laid an egg. Losing to Maryland at home, laid an egg. Michigan State away. You can understand that. But then they recovered, man. Purdue, Maryland, Wisconsin. That's three pretty
Yeah,
wins.
Purdue very good this year, are they?
I mean, they're not chopped
Yeah,
liver.
it checked out, and he's going to be transferring. I don't know if you've heard. I mean, you
I have
probably hear
not.
way more than I do.
I have not. I'd be surprised. But listen, nothing surprises me with
College
transfer.
basketball, come on.
Oh,
Yeah.
basketball, man. It's insane out there. I keep going.
All right, we'll wrap up in the West here. This is Florida as the one, St. John's is the two. Let's start with St. John's. You were there.
Yeah.
They're one of the best stories in the country. Offensively challenged is maybe putting it kindly.
2 years ago, I don't know. It's funny. I'm Italian. I coach at Providence for Rick Barnes. I probably spent in 40 years plus, 45 years. I've probably talked to Rick Pitino no more than 90 minutes in my life.
Wow.
Okay. We're not close friends, but he's one of the top 6 or 7 coaches in the history of the game. It
Okay.
doesn't matter where he is or who he's coaching. Like I said 2 years ago, he'll have Alaska Anchorage in the Sweet 16 in 2 years. And he would, honestly, Jason, he would. He's a great coach. They play so hard. They had New York rocking and rolling. I kind of remember when we had it going when I was a young coach. Kudos to them. Dangerous team. They're going to bring it. I think that if they get by Kansas, they're going to breathe a sigh of relief. But I think Kansas is going to give them trouble.
Hmm.
Hunter Dickinson is still pretty good. Um, that'll be a tough game for St. John's, but I could see them getting. I think Texas Tech, if they're healthy,
Yeah.
is a dangerous team here.
Well,
They
what are you
stepped
hearing on
up.
Texas Tech's health?
From what I understand, Coach McCaslin said both McMillan and Williams are ready to go and ready to play. And when they're at their best, they really take a backseat to nobody in the country. Auburn, Florida,
Hmm.
Houston. Hey, listen, they went to Houston, lost JT Toppin in the first 5 minutes because he got kicked out with that flagrant two going to the what.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then they played Houston at home without those two starters and went right to the final possession. They're for
Okay.
real. Grant McCaslin is a great coach. So if those guys are in sync, then I think they're a dangerous team. I
Yeah.
mean, Florida ultimately, everybody's got them playing so well. I'd be surprised if anybody could beat them, but I would not sleep on Texas Tech.
Yeah. Do you think Texas Tech has a problem with Drake? Drake is probably a top 5 story. If St. John's is up there, Drake with what their coach has done, all the D2 transfers, like it's a great story.
It's a great story. I am a freaking junkie. Okay, when when Arizona played Iowa State second weekend to the end of the season, I had Kansas, Houston on Monday night. Okay, Saturday, Monday. Okay, I've seen all these teams a million times. They're sick of seeing me. Okay, even my coaching friends, they're sick of me. So I saw Drake. I went to Drake's final home game in Des Moines against Missouri State. They'd already clinched. I had to see this kid, Bennett
Starts, yeah,
Sturts.
yeah, yeah.
I had to see these guys. I had to see them play. Then I jumped on a Sunday night flight to Houston. I love them. I love their team. I love their coach. I love Bennett Sturts. They overachieved.
Yeah.
They overachieved, man. The sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Talent wise, they're kind of like UC San Diego. They're going to stay in games because they're so well coached, and they beat Kansas State. They beat Vanderbilt early in the year.
Hmm.
I'm not big on them going far in this tournament because I just don't think they have the talent level.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I look at their experience D1,
Yeah,
and it's the
yeah.
one of the worst in the country because all their guys came from D2. Interesting.
Right.
Maybe I need to reconsider Missouri there. I thought Drake would be able, but they're a great story.
I like Missouri. I saw Missouri annihilate Kansas in Columbia. I really like what Dennis DeGates goes 10 deep. Caleb Grill, if he's on, Caleb Grill is the Caleb Love of the SEC. he can get 30 or he can go crazy. He's a great kid, but he can go
Yeah,
crazy. And then Tamar Bates has had a great year, the Indiana transfer.
that's
I love
right.
that game.
Let me just I want this is kind of a macro thing, but Fran, you look around the country at what's happening with the transfer portal and fewer and fewer freshmen are getting minutes. Maybe they have to go start at D2 or they go JUCO or whatever.
Right.
How long do you think this trend will continue where guys are going to be like 23, 24 years old? Like, are they going to keep this going or are they going to go back to the old ways anytime soon?
Well, BYU, they'll keep it going because a lot of those guys go on missions, right?
Yes, yes.
But no, I think, no, we're ending the COVID era. The COVID era is over. This is it. The fifth year guy, the extra year, this is
They're
it.
not allowing that anymore.
No, no.
Wow.
So this is all done. All those guys that got the extra year for COVID, this is it. Now you can still transfer up or down. That part is still a complete circus.
Hmm.
The transfer portal is a joke. And not because kids shouldn't be able to transfer. It's just so out of control. I mean, it's Kevin Willard had the best line of all, the coach at Maryland. The transfer portal, Jason, technically opens March 24th, the Monday after the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Kevin Willard said early in the year the transfer portal opened on November 5th. That was the opening night of the season.
Oh
Okay.
man, that's yeah.
Everybody's tampering. Everybody's got agents. Agents are calling other schools. My guy's definitely leaving. He might stay, but he's going to have to get a raise. It's madness.
Okay, so it's madness, but doesn't it seem a little fun, Fran? I'm going to tell you this. I haven't told anyone in my family or any of my friends. I'll just reveal it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm so into what's happening. Like Steph Curry is now like the assistant GM at Davidson.
Yeah.
Woj got involved at St. Bonaventure. There,
Sure.
there was a couple other media guys have got involved. So I graduated from JMU, and I know I follow their team. And
Yeah.
I looked up who their collective is, and I emailed them, "Hey guys, I follow JMU closely. I'm on the West Coast. If there's anything I can do, I'm not going to just write checks. Sorry, I would love to get involved." They haven't responded. Now it's only been a week, and I'm not a big deal. But just hearing you and this team building, I love this stuff, man.
Well,
I absolutely love it.
it's really like fantasy basketball.
It is basically,
It's
yeah.
basically
Yeah.
fantasy football, college basketball, right? I'm going to tell you, without giving out the name, there's a coach that just got a job, a young coach whose father, mid-major, low major maybe, father just donated 1.5 million to the NIL. That's kind of how the kid got the job.
Oh,
Now he had some credentials. I'm not going to even go
obviously.
far
Well, we all
where.
need help. Everybody needs
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
somebody.
No,
Yeah.
I'd be in if Harvard ever went NIL. I'm in. I'm in.
So it's funny. So you say I mentioned Harvard. So I do the men's leagues out here, and I'm constantly recruiting, and I'm trying to figure out our team. And we got to have like 3 stars, and then a bunch of role players, and we don't want guys who complain
You
or
got
ball hogs.
Wesley Saunders. Who do you got? Wesley Saunders.
Well, no, I mentioned Cale Catchings, who went to
Yeah,
Harvard,
Kale. That's
and
right. You
then
told
went
me
to.
about Kale.
So he's
Yeah.
in our league. I tried to get him on our team. Anyways,
Yes.
he in the semifinals, I felt bad. He popped his Achilles last week,
Oh,
so he's out. But he's the nicest guy. We've become friendly, and like
yeah.
him, and then he opens a portal to a bunch of other really big time ballers. And I
Yeah.
just love this stuff. The team build.
I
Oh,
think, well, you know what? For everybody who loves it, and I get it. I get it. But how do you build a team? How do you deal with adversity? Like Houston, uh, Marquette for the most part, um, Michigan State, they're old school. Okay. In other words, I'll give you a great story. I think I probably told you this before, but when my son Matt was at Villanova, the one that's at Harvard now, they had a kid, Jermaine Samuels, on the team. Okay. You remember Jermaine
like a
Samuels.
6'7" wing, maybe.
Yeah, he was like he was like a center.
Said okay, maybe I
But
wasn't.
yeah, but the reason they played him at center is because that was his best position because he couldn't remember a lot of the plays, but he was great inside. But he
Okay.
didn't play as a freshman on the first championship. And I said to Matt, is he transferring? And he goes, no, Dad. He knows he's going to play someday. It's just a Jay Wright system. We don't have that anymore.
No.
No,
Yeah.
it's just like if I'm not playing, I'm gone, you know.
Yeah.
Houston could do it, Villanova could do it with Jay. So there is a negative effect to this that relates to kids dealing with adversity, but there's a lot of unintended consequences. Some are good, some are bad. That's my point.
Yeah, no, you end up playing with 3, 4 colleges, and then you get out, and it's like, dude, you're not going pro anyway. What's the big deal? You
Yeah,
got to get an accounting job. Sorry, the rest of your life, and it stinks.
yeah.
Um, I guess we could wrap up. Do you have a Final Four pick? I don't want to put you on the spot because you are an announcer. You call games.
No, no, I'm good. I'm good. We all did our brackets today. I can't believe I went chalk I'm sick that I went chalk because chalk never works. So
Never.
I got Auburn, Florida, Houston, and Duke. I'm sentimental.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh. Wow, that is chalky.
I'm sentimental about Houston because I know those guys so well.
Yeah.
And I also could back it up. Like if we had a defense attorney for each of those four teams, I could make a great argument for Houston. I could, like you pointed it out earlier. And I'll tell you as a wrap up, they've got depth, they've got experience, they've got shooting, they've got defense, they've got a great coach. And so, can it will they lose to Tennessee in the Elite Eight? Could absolutely happen.
I don't see that.
I know it, but it could
Oh,
happen.
one team we didn't talk about, Fran, Alabama. They've been leaking oil here a little at the end of the
Yeah,
season. I love the point guard. The kid Nelson
here,
is kind of
yep,
banged up.
yeah. Nelson's hurt, and I was disappointed that they're great offensively. I just don't think the defense is going to hold up over the course of 5 or 6 games. Love their coach, love the way they play, but their defense, I mean, they're like an NBA team. They're giving up 100 a night.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
That's
Yeah.
that probably can't fly, deep into the tournament.
Have you heard anything on Nelson? How is he out?
I haven't heard. I just saw he was banged up, but I don't know,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So
They're not going to go down to Robert Morris, but St.
no.
Mary's, could St. Mary's get him with what's
Yes,
his name's kid, the former Golden State Warrior, Marshall?
Marshall Otis. Yeah. Marshall Otis, the kid that transferred from Arizona's had a great year. They got size inside. If St. Mary's controls the tempo and keeps them out of a transition game, and Grant Nelson's not at 100%, that's a sneaky good upset game. St. Mary's got to control the tempo in that game.
Yeah.
Can't play in the 80s with Alabama. No way.
All right, Fran Fraschilla, one of the greats in college basketball. Hopefully, you learned a lot, and he's going to be calling NIT games. Hopefully, he's back on the NBA draft here soon. Nobody knows the draft better than Fran Fraschilla. Fran, thanks a lot for taking the time. Enjoy March Madness.
Jason, it's always a pleasure. We'll catch up in a couple months once I watch a lot of film and I'll clue you in on some sleepers. I
All
promise.
right, can't wait.
Okay.
Man, that was great. Sorry to keep you so long, Fran.
Oh, good. Happy to do it, man.
All right, buddy. We'll post it tomorrow and talk to you later.
You got it.